He's joining us now from the other side of the world. How are you doing? You're still
I'm
overseas?
doing very, very well. Yes, I get home now. We go back Sunday to Tel Aviv and we catch a plane there Monday morning and just get home. I can't wait to get home, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I get brief steady of what's going on, and we've been having some ongoing discussions with my team, my team, my ministers. And today was actually a very important day here for us in Jordan. We met with the Minister of Culture. We went through the museum that we built here, and she was very open and the concept of. We did some research knowing that the meeting was coming. The King of Jordan went out to the coronation, and they were arranging a meeting between the King and I, but he had to leave on a separate emergency issue. That couldn't be arranged, but that's okay. They're going to work on it. They want him to come back, and that'll be a long time right now. He's coming back quickly up on this part. Not that I don't want to come back. It's fascinating, beautiful. Things we think about back home. Yeah. We talk about Jordan, Israel. We talk these places. We think desert right away. There is a lot of green out here. There's a lot of investment. The major challenge we do face is water. Yet we have so much water, and they don't have. And that's some of the key issues for them in trying to develop their country. There's a lot of similarities when you look at the struggles of Israel or look at the struggles of Jordan. And there's a lot of similarities in the concept of trying to find their place. For example, British ruled here for quite a long time, not till the 1940s or something in that range, when the country of Jordan started to formulate itself and become its own country and out of British rule. So they, of course, they have a king and queen, but they also have a parliament. They took us to their parliament, showed us how the parliament works. And one of the things that they were impressed upon is that they have more women now joining in cabinet. The king is very strong towards trying to ensure that there's women in parliament and they're set aside direct seats for them. So I gave them a good history lesson of our women in the Métis community and our women throughout the Métis history, is that we don't have to have separate appointments for them. They're automatically running in politics. They're really leading the families. And I said, you look at our data that we've been able to collect back in our training programs through Kerry and Tracy in the HRD, John Furry, of course, the minister, we see that more women are going to university than men. That we see in the data. And then we also see that in the past, in the trades, it was more men, when I'm talking carpentry, electricians, things of that nature in the trade sector versus the professional sector. And it was more dominated by men. The last several years of the data we've been collecting for the last 5 years shows that they're actually tied now in the trade sector, women and men. They're at 50-50. So it's quite interesting when you see more women also going to trades, not only in the professional sector, whether it's nursing or doctors or lawyers. They're now going in the trade sector. And that's a very powerful message on the Métis community and Métis women. Yeah. So I explained that to the minister here, and she was quite astonished by it, and she was so impressed with it. She wants to research a little bit more into our government and our systems, and they were really taken by it. I told them about our Heritage Center and museum we're building, and they definitely want to be part of it. Of course, we had Salam from Jordan, who actually owns a resort in a museum himself, and he's going to compile a lot of the historical artifacts and connections with Jesus and of course, with the Moses and the rest of them. We went to different places to see. He's going to actually collect all of the different times of Roman control and Ottoman control, and how Jesus and the Catholics and Christians made their way through the process. And so he wants to donate to a museum. And so I told him we'd be very excited to have any types of history that people can really reflect upon. He said we're still strong Christians and Catholics, and clearly at the end of the day, it will just really resonate very well with my people. And so I'm very proud of that he's actually willing to donate it all, not charge us, and develop a site here. So in our museum. So it was quite an interesting afternoon today. They worked, of course, on Saturdays here, and we had a good chance, as I said, to have an hour and a half probably with the minister. And then, of course, earlier in the morning, I got up. We left our other location at 5:30 this morning. We're up, and we took off, the ministers and I. And so we had two separate meetings. First, we met with the princess, because the king's not here. and the princess is, of course, to a relative. They have a mechanism of relative tier system. So you met the princess, and she's really strong into the culture side of things. Youth is a big compassion that she has. Like they're developing youth camps and stuff. I told them about our youth camps. So they're talking about if there's a possibility to do a youth exchange.
Oh, wow.
Just like we signed the agreement in Israel with the university. We signed with the Ben Gurion University, where we're going to send 5 of our university students to go and learn in the top universities, truly sometimes in the world, in Jerusalem. But Jordan is very high in education also.
Yeah.
They're not as rich as Israel country, but they're very, very strong when it comes to education. So after we talked today with the minister's chief of staff, who's actually the youth leader, and he wants to set a protocol or a MOU to arrange the possibility of getting their professionals. They have more doctors than they need versus patients, he said. I said, well, that's what we're short. We need doctors. We need nurses. And so they want to, there is some Jordan, of course, Jordanians in both the United States and Canada are really doctors. And he said we'd be very pleased if the Métis government would want to sit down with us and we could work with the federal government in Canada to see if we can have doctors transferred or moving to Canada to go and practice over there. So we're definitely going to look at that because, as I said on the show and I said previously, health is the next step toward negotiating with Canada during our treaty. And one of the components that I'm pushing very hard is the medical clinics. A lot of our people have to travel great distances, sometimes using all their senior paychecks to go see a doctor or an ambulance. So we definitely need to look at how do we create health care into our villages and communities. And we talked, the struggle in Jordan is the economics. The unemployment rate is high, again, because they lack water. So they don't have enough innovation in the sense of where Israel has got more orchards and grapes and oranges and apples, but they have more water. And so they are able to take a sand, dungeon, I'll call it, or sand pastures, so it's nothing but sand, turning into green pastures of profit. And so Jordan is looking at that. They also have some green, not as much as Israel. And so, but they definitely are very strong when it comes to partnerships. So they're really reaching out to us. They want to be a partner. So this is why, what is part of the trip that we're taking here. So as I told our people at our assembly, the world is a small place. And I said that in the last show, and it is not a big place. And when we start looking at the opportunities we need, by the time we get our Métis doctors graduated or our nurses or our health institutions, that could be decades. And so we need to search elsewhere. And I already met with the Minister of Immigration for Canada, indicating that the Métis government wants to themselves choose specialties and expertise that we can bring into Canada and start working with our people. Because a lot of us, even myself, I don't have a family doctor now. My family doctor retired, and I've never gotten one yet. So my other doctor passed away. So when you look at it, I truly don't even have a doctor, which is crazy. I should be having a doctor. And so, but again, that's a struggle you see in most rural areas, and doctors are just overburdened, as you see in the news articles in Manitoba. So these discussions are going very well. We got a final meeting today. We leave tomorrow morning again now to Tel Aviv, where we'll catch the plane from there to go home. So again, it was a hell of a trip. People will say, "Oh, you're just going around and enjoying yourself." Naomi, I'm telling you, it's like you heard me. I said 5:30 this morning I was up. Yeah. And I tell you, it's hard in the body. It's a little too long for me to ask me. Next time I'll cut it shorter, and if I ever go in these series of partnerships again, we definitely will be coming back to Israel. We'll definitely come back to Jordan. They want to reach out. They also, as I said, want to extend not only our university, but they're looking strongly with the princess on exchanging youth to come to our camp and youth to go to their camp. And it's very safe here. It's not, I tell you, there's military everywhere, but it's very safe because Jordan has no war with anybody. And it's a peaceful country, and the king has positive relationships everywhere. So again, the journey's almost over. I'm excited about it, and to tell a story as soon as I get home. And I can't wait to be at home too. Gloria's been texting me, and she's been working like crazy at home, trying to organize, of course, the assembly, one of the biggest historical assemblies we'll ever have. So thank you, Gloria, for taking care of the assembly at home. I hope you're listening. I know our team is working diligently around the clock, and it really is a pressure point for many of the staff because they want to make sure that as many people as possible can attend. Whether, as I said on the show before, I believe we're going to have a assembly where we'll have the traditional probably 2,000 and more coming to our assembly. We'll only be able to extract 586 rooms. I think that's less than Winnipeg because there are many events happening. But we're going to have regional meetings at the same time, and they'll be connected with, of course, television and the rest of it. And people can also be connected from home.
Right.
So this is going to be a historic time for our nation, and I look forward to the vote to pass. And then from there, to pound it into Canada, and Canada to come and sign it in September's assembly, and then move it and get it voted on in Parliament. I've seen, for example, recently another first treaty is being signed by the First Nations, and I commend them. Dakota, I think the Sioux signed theirs recently. Kudos to them. And we will be signing hopefully ours in September, and then letting it go through into Parliament for final readings, and then we've made the history that was stolen from us in 1870. So let me get some birthdays out of the way quickly.
Okay.
Happy 66th birthday, Mr. Jack Park, who's having his birthday on May 6th. Happy 96th birthday, Teresa Lavalley, who's celebrating her birthday on Monday, May 8th. 96 years old. That's a lot of history, a lot of memories in that one, and a lot of stories.
Lots of wisdom,
Happy birthday to Reese Mayer. Yeah, 96. Happy birthday to Reese Mayer, Mr. Judy Mayer's granddaughter. That's a big family, I tell you. So there's always every other Saturday they have a birthday somewhere.
Right.
And then also happy birthday to Annika. I hope I'm what have our time saying the name. I don't know why they put these fancy stuff. Why don't you just call it the old traditional names, you know? Anyways, that's Bernice's granddaughter and my nephew, Curtis's daughter, Annika. I think I'm saying it right. Happy 6th birthday. They put all these different pronunciations and stuff, and it's just so hard for me to read. I want to again thank publicly Larry and Tola Victor, who's partnering us in this journey and setting up a lot of these meetings. And as I said, it's been a real experience to look at the health and the environment, the social issues, education and cultural programs, but how they interconnect with us and how we can actually extend this olive branch to create partnerships. We talked about our fishes, opportunities. Our fishing is an opportunity. We bought a bottled water company that they be buying water directly from us, and we did that. So there's all kind of options they're talking about. We talked about our greenhouses, and they're very interested in that, and they're very proud of that. They actually, the Métis government's doing this, and I'm proud of our partnership with Canada on that. Mm-hmm. And that construction should be happening very, very quickly. I also want to thank the Selkirk, the city of Selkirk. They just approved all of the conditions to start the construction of our apartment building in Selkirk.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you to Selkirk for having that vision. And I know that I think there's a couple opposition, and at the end of the day, the majority was quite large in the sense of nobody opposing it. It's a great investment for Selkirk, a great opportunity for the Métis. And we have a very large Métis community in Selkirk. It's not only Selkirk that can live there, any 55-year-old and up can live there. So already, people, like I said, in Winnipeg are applying. Now, our next one is going to be the same one on where the Boeing station took on Henderson. I forgot the name of it. And it was Roxy Lane.
Roxy, yeah.
We are now going to move the city, and see the city can also do the same, give us the permits to move forward. So now I watched this morning King Charles and Queen Camilla. Great to see that the coronation taking place and looking at how, as I said before, a lot of people are not aware of this, but Queen Victoria's era demanded that Canada establish a treaty with the at that time the language, the half-breeds, and bring down the uprisings that the Queen Victoria's era said to the Prime Minister before we can transfer any land or before we can send any troops. So that's why Johnny McDonald was caught in a situation where he had to try to show that he was working on a treaty with us. But then, of course, he backstabbed us when it was all said and done. And now it took us 143 years of waiting. We wanted the court. Now we're in discussions for settlement. So again, kudos to the new king. And a massive crowd. I couldn't believe the size of that crowd.
I know.
It was quite large. It was raining at the same time. And but it was truly something to see and watch in the context of where things are when it comes to that type of support. And there's a lot of people saying, you have all these surveys being done in Canada. They're saying so much percentage of Canadians don't believe in the monarchy, don't want to get rid of it. And then there's those that still strongly believe in that relationship that extends, several hundred years. So we'll see where that takes us again. 1867, when Canada became part of a country. And so from that era on, you know that there was a relationship that did exist with the monarchy. And for us, imagine if they sent troops and not demand a negotiation take place, they could have maybe wiped out all of our Métis. We didn't have the same ammunition or the same weaponry as they did, because they had the Gatling gun, and that was in cannon, that was superior to like rockets and all these different weapons they have today. So imagine if Queen Victoria's era basically said, "Well, we don't care about those athletes over there. We'll wipe them out." So that's not what happened. History has shown us now that decision made a big difference. So we have definitely great respect towards that, and of course, everybody has to get used to the King's Court. It used to be the Court of King's Bench, now it'll be the Court of King's Bench. So it's not interesting that's going to happen throughout, and people have to use that language. Also, Friday, May 5th is Red Dress Day, and kudos to all these people that keep the awareness going for the missing Indigenous women and girls. And Red Dress Day is a symbol of lives that have been lost, and people are missing them. I always get a brief in the RCMP and updates in Winnipeg Police advising me about missing persons, and I always see my person sigh of relief when I see that a week later, a days later, we get another email saying this person went missing. A week later, we found the person. Especially that gives me a sigh of relief knowing that they've been able to find and work with the community, work with the families and themselves in the investigation, find those lost loved ones before something worse happens. So, but it is sometimes they don't find them, and more history has shown us that. So I want to commend all the people that work on the Red Dress Day, keeping that message alive. So just like we have to curate bringing home a the chick, probably butchered it a little bit, but that's a program we have, and of course we're putting up billboards now. It's not that simple to put out billboards. We need to get them out there for missing people that have been lost for some time, and I know there's a lot of rules, because sometimes they're crown lands and private lands, and so it's not that you can just put a sign anytime you want, because we're talking about major signs for the impact. So, but again, Francis and the minister and Anita are working on that agenda. I'll give more reports, and we have videos of showcasing a lot of these meetings. But the museum I seen today was the minister went through it with us, and I also had a chance to be honored in San Hussein, house, and they had members of parliament there, they had senators, so there's quite a feeling of great respect they were showing our Métis government. They know we're not the government of Canada, that they fully know, because they know the government of Canada. So they're very impressed to meet the Métis government and seeing that, and they read about this stuff that's happening out in Canada. And so last night, the other night, was a great speech to be treated with such respect from so many different people and different leaders. And as I said, Parliament, and you have parliamentary, then you have a judiciary, then you have a king. So it was, and it's far different than the King Charles has today. He's more of a figurehead. Here, the king actually has a Tory, very much a Tory. So it's different. The king here appoints the prime minister, and so has a very important role to play. So, but I'll try to brief our people on this a lot more. But I'm very pleased that as a Métis government, that we're extending our economic visions towards the future to get bigger and opportunities that are to come, because they have deserts where there's no jobs. I said we have the rural Manitoba in rural Western Canada where we don't have jobs either. Whether it's because of muskeg or the swamps they placed us in, and there's no real viability of, for us to grow massive crops or something and invest into creating different types of economic environments. So the same thing is going with them, because they don't have water. They can't really fertilize the particular stand areas, which is massive amounts of land. So we're talking about sharing ideas of some of the things we may have, we don't even realize we may have in our backyard that would be interesting to a different country to buy. So these are the type of discussions we'll continue to have. So But a fan, I want to thank him personally. He's got that A high. That's what I was telling you about, Naomi, where the cameras that you would have, even the cameras you have at the MMF right now, if AI connected to our cameras, so if somebody walked in with a gun, those cameras would pick it up right away. And they even tell you what type of gun it is. So they tell you if he has a knife. So it's very high-tech. So he's been friends with the MMF now. I've been friends with him for about 5-6 years now. And he definitely wants to be MMF to be part of that process and maybe look at how AI can help our villages, our communities for safety, and even our schools. One of the great things, I'll close off with this, is that Joan and Francis are going to be working with both Jordan and Israel on the early learning childcare, and that they did the same as we're doing. And so there's going to be a relationship that they're following up on both sides, the minister from Jordan and also the minister and leaders from Israel. So, again, I want to express that Joan and Francis have carried themselves with leadership, and I was very proud of the way they represented and spoke openly about how proud they are of the stuff they're being achieved and how proud they are of our people. So, and that our people are so supportive and united and collective. And so I'm looking forward, as I said, to opening a door that we may not realize can create big opportunity for us. So with that being said, I'm going to say goodbye. And again, Gordon, you're listening, give baby a big hug. I can't wait to get home. Please tell the team out there, thank you for all the hard work. And to Will Goodon and the rest of the team, they also went to Ottawa. Kudos to all of you out there, Desiree and Mona, Will, and Dave Ray, and a lot more. So kudos to you in promoting ongoing relationship with the Government of Canada to make sure that they don't forget the Métis of the Red River. So closing May 13th, Southwick Memorial Hall, Jemima Street. And they spell it Jamima, Jemima Street,
Jemima,
May 13th. Vancouver, May 17th. I'll be there. Virtual, May 24th. Southwest, May 27th. Elders and Veterans of Brandon, May 28th. That'll be the last meetings before the vote on June 3rd and 4th. So again, I'll say goodbye to everybody and hoping to come home safely with the team. And I want to thank also Mark and the rest of the team that to prepare all these things. We have, as I said, Keith has some great videos you'll see on the website. All of these new relationships we're building, and people may have better ideas that we haven't even thought about yet. So I hope people watch the videos once we get them on our website. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you. This phone is driving me crazy. People are texting like crazy. They put me on some, you know, that group thing there when everybody goes in that group. There's about 10 people on it.
Yeah, group chat.
Yeah, that damn thing. They got me there. They got me on that damn thing. We got to hear it because it's going to drive me nuts. So just take me off. I don't know why they put me on these things. Anyway, so I'll take care. Take care, everybody. For elders, again, thank you very much. I spoke highly of our elders, what they taught us. I spoke again strongly of Anita and the women, how powerful they are in our culture, and they were quite amazing. So with that being said, I will talk to you guys next Saturday from where am I? 8:13 somewhere. I'll be in Manitoba. I'll be in Manitoba somewhere or around there.
All
okay?
right.
We'll talk to you guys. Thank you very much. And it's the INA consultations May 13th. Yeah, that's Saturday. I'll be in Gemina in Selkirk.
Okay.
You'll find me there, cowboy.
Right on.
Have safe travels home.
Okay. I'll see you guys when I get home.
Okay, take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye.